Listen.
All right, we are live here on a Tuesday night, directly after Surviving Barstool just wrapped up this first episode of the week. Very special, historic episode here for you guys tonight. Two great guests, well-informed Minifans. That's sort of the bar that we need to clear here. And we like to please Kirk, but we like to throw him a curveball every now and then. So we've got someone that Kirk has said he likes in the last couple of weeks with Danny and Bill Ricca. Hi, Danny.
Hello. Good evening. Thanks for having me, Freddie.
And we've got someone that Kirk said he needs to put out to pasture within the last few weeks. Welcome to Ned Snark.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas, Ned.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing just great. I'm just happy to be here. Fireside Chat. This is congratulations on the success of the show so far. I think it's certainly taken off as the leader in the clubhouse. Maybe there were some changes in the standings over this past weekend, but in general, I think you've been killing it. So well done, Freddie.
No,
Good to be
I
here.
agree.
Don't say too many nice things. No, don't say too many nice things. Actually,
it's all downhill from here.
Actually, it pisses off Kane, so keep saying them. We'll take it. We'll take it. So
I'm going to be accused of being a suck pump no matter what. So there we go.
We will get into Surviving Barstool recap. Actually, let's jump into it right now. The show just ended. Kirk was lights out on the final challenge, once again proving his worth on the tribe. What were your initial gut reactions watching the show? Ned, what are you thinking?
It was a great episode. I've been following it since the beginning. I didn't do it last season because I wasn't really a big fan of Survivor per se, but this was actually quite good, and I got hooked on the first episode. I like this challenge. I thought it was great too that they were able to de-lubricate the lubricated bottles, so that by the time I got to Kirk and to Francis, it was just really up to their skill in dropping a bucket, right? And we know Kirk at the foul line is pretty damn good, so he did a great job.
Danny, initial takeaways. Did you think Kirk on that challenge was as lights out as everybody thought, or was Kirk the MVP of this episode?
I'd say so. I mean, I'd say he was very well locked into the challenge. At least from the challenge standpoint, yes, he was MVP. Of course, he was neck and neck with Francis, and it could have gone either way. But I think Kirk's will and determination, put him over the top. I will say the person I've been impressed with, and someone who hasn't. The last couple of years, I've consumed very little Barstool content outside of KMS related things, but probably one of the things that I used to listen to quite a bit, at least I had it on at work, was the Barstool Radio back when I was still on Sirius. And my memories of Rhea in the recent years have been the whole Hank thing, and then her getting yelled at by Portnoy and her crying because he said she was going to look like shit when she was 50. And so the Rhea over the last couple of years to me just has been pretty much a non-entity. Again, not totally fair because I just don't pay that much attention to the non-Kirk stuff, and she hasn't really been involved with the world. But she has been complimented the last couple episodes for playing a good game, and I'd have to agree. And like Ned, I've never been a big Survivor guy or big on the reality TV, but I've enjoyed this, because I do have, knowledge of the personalities from mostly KMS, but also, from the old days of doing more Barstool stuff. So, I think she's killing it. When you get Francis coming to you saying, "Hey, what do I do?" That's
right.
A pretty smart guy who has a big ego and he's deferring to you. Then that's a pretty good sign.
I think Rhea has been playing a very shrewd game. She did get an idol this episode. She seems to be playing it pretty close to the vest. She, in my opinion, she's sort of played an underboss role to Portnoy. She's sort of out there making moves, getting into conversations that she frankly might not even have business getting into, but she's there. So she's been playing a very shrewd game. Also, shout out to if you haven't watched it, Cinema Lords did a great show that aired last night with a wonderful roundtable where they recapped the first few weeks of Surviving. So if you haven't watched it, go take a look at that. Also drama within the KMS world on Surviving. Whitney was eliminated. Spoiler alert, Whitney was eliminated tonight. So his chance at the 250 is gone. He said he's not going on Pardon My Take anymore. He said he's not going on Unnamed anymore. Now, these words were said several months ago. I think cooler heads have possibly prevailed since then, but we'll see if he sticks to his guns. Ned, does Whitney stick to his guns, or were those just words in the heat of the moment?
Well, I think they were heat of the moment because when he first said them, it was pretty broad. Like I thought, like, is he serious? It's like he's done. He's done with Dave forever. And then what? He comes back and he goes, "No, I just meant professionally." And then you couldn't pick up what he was saying when he got eliminated, but he was definitely blaming Dave. Now, do we know if Dave voted for him or not? I don't know. But he's obviously on Unnamed, of course. So he didn't really keep to his word. But I get a feeling there are going to be some very hurt feelings. We've had some indications, our dear leaders got hurt feelings still. So more to come. So it's going to be quite interesting. But one thing though, Rhea, 100% agree. Never really thought much of her. Chicks in the Office, okay. She was the one who kept changing her looks because I don't know who watched. I'm old enough to be her grandmother, so I don't like it.
She looks very different than she did 5 years ago.
Exactly. Constantly evolving. Then she had that in-office affair with one guy, and then now she's engaged to another guy. So it's like it's too much drama. But very impressed at how she's playing this game. She's holding all the cards. It could backfire on her, as she said, but she's much shrewder than I gave her credit for. Me being a misogynist, of course.
Yeah, in typical Survivor fashion, if you are playing such a strong game, you put a target on your back. So I think she's starting to realize maybe, am I overplaying my hand, or, can I still try to fly under that radar and get, closer to the end? Danny, any other surprises or sleepers you've got in this game, or expectations, or where are you at?
Well, I heard on the episode last week, you guys talking about Biz being a potential winner. I definitely am aligned with that logic. I think still, I actually thought Clemmer had a really good chance to go far if he had kind of made it past that last bump. And I think he got eliminated since your last Fireside Chats episode. So I think he was still in the running at that point. So that I won't say that I was surprised that he was eliminated. I think I was surprised because he's a smart guy that he didn't see it coming at all. Although every time I watch an episode of this, I think about how terrible I would be at this show. So I'm not one to be a huge critic of anyone. And I think it's tough when you're, just trying to kind of be friends with everybody. You have to get that shrewd wrinkle in you and make sure that you can cut some people down. And one thing real quick about these relationships, that is one thing that makes this compelling, but also at times almost, a little bit of a cringe because, unlike a regular Survivor where it's a bunch of people on a network TV show, they're never going to see each other again. These people are back in an office working together or remotely. They're interacting on a day-to-day basis, creating content. The fact that more leaks haven't got out or that people haven't been more open about some of these, nasty back and forths. I almost don't think it's fair to carry something over from a show like this. Like it has to be known this is content. I think that's going to make people more open. But at the same time, you know what? They're trying to win $250,000 and who gives a shit in the end? They want to win and you can't blame them. Can't pull punches.
You're starting to see some emotions come through. I know Mubi looked like she was going to crack there at the end. She was really tearing up, getting very emotional, Ned, as they do. But
what do you mean, Ned, as they do? Because I'm the misogynist.
Your words, not mine. But as we are starting to see some of the big guys, some of the big pillars fall with Whitney going tonight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong players still left in this game. Ned, do you have any inkling who are they going to try to knock out Big Cat? Are they going to go for Kirk's throat? Where are you at with that?
That's a good question because I was thinking the same thing. Do you go for the most vulnerable person? Like who would be the easy get? Or do you go after the one that you suspect could be the power player? So to me, it's, Rhea's got everyone fooled. So I think she's actually playing the game correctly. If I were playing on a team, I'd be going after Big Cat because he's too well connected with everyone. And I'd be voting for him if I was on that team. But I don't think Kirk's got his head up yet. As long as he keeps delivering and he doesn't get into the situations like he did, was it last season when during the puzzle where it was pretty obvious he kind of messed that up. Yeah. So far, he's been delivering when it comes to the challenges, and they've got 3 immunities. Am I wrong? 3 immunities already or 4? But they're doing quite well with the immunity.
Yep. And
he plays a big role. Sorry, but he's been playing a big role.
looking forward, I think that they're going to stick with the 2 tribes at least through the end of this week. Then we have a 2-week break, and then the final 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a 2-week break for the holidays, and then the final 2 weeks of surviving is that starting that second week in January. I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, both weeks. I might not be exactly correct on that, but look it up. So putting a bow on surviving for tonight. Any final thoughts on the show as a whole, or specifically tonight's episode?
I watched it on Rumble for the first time. It was much better than on the Barstool site, which is what I've done before.
Was there anything that you noticed that would have been censored possibly on a different platform?
I didn't pay attention when I was watching it on Barstool if they were cutting out the cursing or the swearing, but I didn't. It was just there wasn't anything terrible. There's a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah, and I had actually switched over to Rumble a couple weeks ago, and interestingly enough, it's also when all the black guys started getting kicked out. So I don't know if there's a connection there or not.
Okay, moving on to our next topic for the evening. Just a housekeeping note. We are keeping an eye on. I've got a crack team of experts keeping an eye on the total KMS episode count, and I believe as of today we're up to 978. So my rough math puts episode 1000 right sort of near that beginning first or second week of February. So something to keep an eye on. If the producers, we'll get to the producers in a minute, but if they
I feel like the goalposts keep moving here, Freddie.
Yeah, they should figure something out. We'll put it that way.
Well, Cullinane answered pretty definitively when you asked him before, right? But he was a couple months off. Was that the case?
He answered definitively, but was wrong by like 20. Right. So, at least he gave an answer. That's a good step in the right direction.
Well, he's married. He knows how it is.
Also housekeeping. This episode of Fireside Chats is brought to you by the Robbie V Twitter Spaces.
Nice.
If you know, you know. They are quite something, and what happens in Robbie V Twitter Spaces stays in Robbie V Twitter Spaces.
Well, that's not always true, and I think maybe we have an issue to address from that at some point. I don't know if that's on your run sheet there, Freddie.
Well, let's get to the facts of it all.
Let's do it.
So we're not going to spend too much time on this. I'll lead off with my opinion on the Fax situation. I don't think Fax has done anything wrong except for possibly miscommunicate. But he is a known entity. People know that he worked for Chaps and all that stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and kill Fax. What I am going to do is say, if someone is applying to be an intern on your show and you're the producer that's hiring him, don't you got to vet that guy? Did the producers vet him enough? Did they get a resume? Did they get a reference? Did they know he worked for Chaps? Or did they just say, oh, he's on the network, he's a nice guy, let's hire him? If you're the producer and someone's applying to be an intern, are you getting a resume? Are you going to do a little bit of background work? And are we ever going to know the answer to that or not? Because no one's ever going to ask the producers.
You do get a resume. I think in the past they've all, whether it was Steve or Dave previously, and when they're hiring interns, they get resumes. They get some sort of background curriculum vitae. So they must have known.
Yeah, I think, look, Fax has been in the world. He's injected himself in the last year or so. And look, I've had nothing but, nice interactions with him one-on-one. There was some things that happened recently that have annoyed me. But, I think they probably saw that as sort of a vetting, just like we've talked about in the past. If somebody's on a network show and a couple times and then they potentially get brought into studio, like there's a little bit of that process that goes on. I think, the miscommunication, I think the part that's craziest, and Kirk was not looped in, and I think he tends to not want to be looped into this kind of thing.
Right.
But Fax, talking about moving, 1,000 miles away for an internship for several weeks, to leave his family, that part, I think seemed strange to many of us. And I certainly personally communicated that as much. I said nothing about the kids themselves, although I've been accused of doing so, as were others. Some have been apologized to and rescinded. Others have not been apologized to. And I think that's a pretty rough accusation when you start, saying that people are, doxing your kids or whatever, which, luckily Kirk agreed that was ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think, I think we can all agree that didn't happen. So, sorry, go ahead, Dick.
And that's the part, where it's like, look, and look, I get it where people start, if you don't really know somebody and you get on, and we get on, this is what we do though. We get on, we spew hot air, we talk about stuff, we conjecture, we, make things up. We project, whatever. It happens all the time. In my case, this is where I also have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I think he said enough that's, out there. And again, I'm 15 years older than Fax. I'm in a very different situation. I was thinking of it from my position where if I even thought about, I'm not allowed to go to the grocery store without getting permission. If I tell my wife I'm going to move
your
to
best friend's
Georgia,
wedding. Your best friend's wedding.
We don't have to relitigate that, but thank you for bringing that up, Freddie. If I just can't even imagine a world in which I would even mention that to my wife, and who knows if he did. I assumed he did, but I think that was the part that blew my mind. It was nothing personal against him or even, and certainly not against his family, except just like, whoa, how is this happening? And on the couple shows where he's talked about it, he wasn't really called to the carpet and never really explained himself. So that's basically the extent of anything that I said. And same with, as far as I could tell, with sneakers, memes, Robbie V, Don the Jeweler, Brandon, who knows, but I don't know. I just wanted to get that out there because I think a lot of people, we joke around a lot, and we always tell people not to get sensitive. I probably sound a little sensitive right now because I just think the whole thing was just ridiculous and out of nowhere, and he just seemed to be throwing punches, particularly at sneakers, just because he was backed in the corner.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'll preface this by saying the producers have a hard job, and we don't know everything that they're doing behind the scenes. But at the same time, I think Dave has a crutch where he just says, "Oh, we deal with everything on the show here," which is in part true. They do deal with everything on the show, but the legwork, you got to do a little bit of background.
Yeah.
And specifically, Fax has said on shows, several times, that I know that the producers watched that he was moving. And Dave apparently didn't tell Fax he didn't have to move until Monday morning. Like, it was just bizarre, the timing. To me, that's a masterclass in miscommunication by Dave Cullinane, and he's just really good at miscommunication. And apparently Fax is too, because they just missed each other. Like, that's a simple,
that's true,
3-minute conversation. Like, hey, I want to apply to be an intern. I'm also planning on moving here. Is that a good idea? Also, maybe Fax, in a way, I think it was said on the show, maybe he wanted to just get away from his family for 4 months. I don't know. But I don't know. Ned,
sure.
Any more facts?
No, nothing more to add, but I think you actually hit the nail on the head. I was getting, you put the point perfectly that I was trying to work towards, which was there was a big miscommunication by both of them. And Dave, much I like Dave, he has a track record of miscommunicating. $29,000 worth of miscommunications.
Yeah, so apparently Kane's in the chat. Kane said he's got that on his list for Monday. If anyone's going to hold their feet to the fire, maybe it'll be Kane for us next time he's in studio. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, Kane's been defending Fax, and that's fine. Again, I was never personally attacking the guy. And no, I don't give a shit if he actually moves. It was just one of those things I was trying to wrap my head around it. And after multiple people questioning him, it still seemed a little weird. And then there seemed to be some lashing out. So I don't know. Speaking of miscommunication, I don't want to ruin any of your segues here, Freddie, but are you going to get to the other miscommunication by Dave on Monday, potentially? With
yes, go, yeah, that's next on my list. Jump in.
I'm stepping all over you, Freddie.
No, you're good. I think again, the producers have a hard job, but I think Dave sent copy to someone to do voice work, and I think he did AI, and I think Dave sent typos, and I think he just said, fuck it. Like, we have what we have. I'm not fixing it.
They're so funny, though. Come on.
That made it better.
That makes it better. Come on.
True.
They were.
True.
They're great. You're right. The total AI voice, but the fact that there's fuck ups in there, that was great.
So, Danny, I imagine what you're getting to is the fact that they didn't call ahead to the guy that is supposed to split the Minifan of the Year vote with Kirk. They assumed they would do it on the show.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on that?
So this is where I have Cullinane's back, because the amount of indignance in his voice where he said, look, I wrote it on the paper. I mean, he's right, though. He obviously, when Kirk said they did nothing to prepare for that, both, and even Justin stood up for himself saying, yes, we've at least DM'd with the guy. We have his number. Would they have actually brought it up to Kirk seconds before he named Minifan of the Year? I can't speak to that, but Cullinane seemed pretty confident that they were going to, and to be fair, he wouldn't have even had this guy's number if he hadn't thought about it. So at least there was some thought put into it. Am I defending him for a potential half-assed job? Potentially. But, that once again, this is where, doing it on the show would also involve that conversation potentially with Kirk saying, hey, we're going to call this guy, right? or as he walks in or whatever. Just, it seemed like it was very much taken by surprise. Conspiracy theory, were they trying to buy another week?
Well, Ned, thoughts on that?
I think Dave's emotion was genuine because he's not very fast on his feet when it comes to thinking quickly and speaking fast, on his feet. So yeah, I think he thought they were going to bring it up on the show. But Danny's point, they should have had a conversation just before they came on, like, hey, this is going to bring this guy on. We make the announcement, and that didn't happen. But I don't think there's a conspiracy theory with this one.
Yeah, I think as usual with Dave, his heart was in the right place. His effort was what he thought it needed to be. In terms of where I would rank this in his sins, this is like a 2 or 3 out of 10.
Yeah. Look, I've said it for years. Dave is the 2-year-old yellow lab. He is a great dog, but he's sometimes going to shit in the carpet. Does he mean to do it? No, it just happens.
Well, and if they really wanted to announce it on Monday, why don't they just call the guy? All right, hey Kirk, I got his number. Let's call him.
Let's call him. Right.
There's a chance maybe he doesn't answer, but if there was actual discussion ahead of time, and maybe that's where Cullinane backed off a little bit and didn't offer that because maybe he hadn't really. I mean, it sounded like they'd at least DM'd with him. Otherwise, how would they have his number? That was a total lie, which that would be a really stupid lie if he got called on it. So
and again, no one's better than Kirk. He saw it in real time what was happening, and he said, "Pause. We are going to just do this next week," and he's going to do the first team, second team, the minute of the year next week. So good on Kirk for realizing that in real time and
Would
just
nice
making a decision. Ned, first time we've heard from you in a while. Any thoughts on when Kirk said that you needed to be put out to pasture when he was speaking with Menors? Did you hear that? Did it rip your heart out?
No, when I didn't hear it, I don't. Freddie, I appreciate you had my back to that whole fiasco of, that 50 list in which Kira couldn't even figure out your Excel spreadsheet yet. She's telling tales out of school on the show, and according to Menors, she's the one who ratted me out saying I didn't show up for a previous meeting, which of course is bullshit. I was there. I wasn't even late. I was there. I just said I almost forgot this meeting. You were there. I was there. She was there. So no, what frosted my ass was that I had how do I put this? I had information from people who dealt with Menors in these type of situations before, saying you guys need to watch your back. I shared that with you. He's going to set you up. He's not going to give you any instruction, and when it falls apart, he's going to destroy everybody. And he almost did that. So the fact that he kicked me out, great. I did. I totally forgot it. Who cares? And I was also doing something else, but that doesn't matter. But does what Kirk said really matter? No, he says about everybody. Who gives a shit? I think I'm on his kill list too, so that's good. I mean, I'm there once at least. But it's really, Menors is a sad one. That's when I really feel sad for him. But 2024 has been a bad year for him. He's just had a rough time. So if he wants to take it out on me for that, that's fine. But
do you feel like you were the sacrificial lamb there, Ned, and specifically because of Menors? And didn't you and Menors have a pretty strong relationship prior to this, or?
No, not really. Not really. He to be honest, I don't blame him for throwing me off because like I said, I totally forgot. I was out to dinner. I went, oh shit. Okay. I was more upset with Kira for kind of throwing me under the bus for no reason. But of course I knew he was going to do something dramatic like that, but that's fine. It was his little thing. But as the executive producer, and I said this to Freddie, he should have been giving us clear instructions as to what to do instead of, coaching from behind, coaching, armchair quarterbacking. What can I say?
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. I think
he's on medication, guys. He's taking SSRIs. His wife left him. His kids don't even talk to him anymore. He wants to move out of Australia and leave his country. He can't even set up the bookings anymore. So we should feel sorry for him. He's under a lot of pressure.
Thank you, Ned. I think any other top 50 talk, and we're going to lose our whole audience. So I do appreciate that.
Agree.
And that's my fault for digging. So sorry that we bored everybody. But let's see. What are we doing now? Are you guys ready for some quick trivia?
Oh, geez. All right. Here we go.
A little palate cleanser, if you will.
Here we go.
So I've got 3, maybe 4 questions if we're headed towards a tie. They're simple. I will read it, and if you think you know the answer, we'll do the beanbag run rule. First person to say ding, you'll get to answer it. Okay? So if you think you know, chime in with the ding, and then the ball's in your court. First question. You need both of these. What were the 2 original nicknames that Kirk gave to the 2 hosts of Quantum Week? The 2 nicknames.
Ding.
Go.
Danny.
That'd be Penis Head
Yes.
and shit.
3, 2,
Gay.
1.
No.
Ding. X. Ned.
I don't. I knew they gave nicknames. Couldn't remember either one.
All right, we stumped him again, folks. Closet case and
Closet
penis.
case. I knew it was gay. It was something gay. That question was gay. Trivia is gay. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's fine. Move. I'm just mad. Keep going.
Another 2-parter.
Yeah.
You're gonna need both of these. Kirk's favorite Bruce Springsteen song and his favorite Bruce Springsteen album. He's said them both on multiple occasions.
I get half a ding. Nebraska is the album. I don't know the song. Darkness on the Edge of Town. Oh.
Ned, you're wrong. Danny.
Okay, sorry.
Man, I suck. I would have said Nebraska. I actually thought it was Nebraska as well.
Okay. And if I'm wrong, hang me. But I believe his favorite song is Atlantic City, and his favorite album is Darkness on the Edge of Town.
So I'm going to switch to Darkness on the Edge of Town. You have Abel raised the Cain. Yeah, I thought that was it, but no.
Okay. 0 for 2.
Atlantic City's his favorite song?
Unless my CTE is early onset.
Yeah,
I fucked that up.
I've heard him say that. I
believe
That's
he said it
several
times. And I've got confirmation in the chat. Stacy's phone, who is batting
there we go.
Close to 1,000 as you can. Thank you. All right, third question. We'll see how this one goes. Let's see. So Dave Cullinane just got this free TV with an ad in the corner. He's a classic, guy ready to be swindled. Dave Cullinane was swindled by investing $1,000 in Kickstarter for a golf simulator endorsed by whom?
Ding.
Danny.
It was Kurt Menefee.
Correct. All right, we
Very
got
good.
one.
You.
Danny's got one. There we go.
All right, let's go to number 4. Let's see, maybe Ned, we can get some redemption. What fictional professional wrestler has called into the show several times that finds a technicality in the rule book that reverses the decision for him to win?
Shit. I can't think of the name. I know who it is, but I can't think of the name.
Ding.
Sorry,
Danny?
Loophole.
Yes.
Very good.
All right. We got that out of the way. We got a 2-0 victory by Danny. Good job.
Yeah, it was a rough start though. I don't know.
Thank you everybody for hanging in. I know it's sad. We know.
Missing closet case was pretty bad. Sorry, Chrono.
He watches, I heard.
Okay, not best show on the network.
Moving on. We got a few more topics to hit. Any thoughts? We don't have to talk about this at all if you don't want to, but the whole Portnoy, Brianna, O'Malley, Kirk is now sort of involved. Any thoughts on how that whole situation went down? I know it's been talked to death, so be brief if you can.
Yeah. So real quick, while Danny's taking a sip.
Thank you.
Hysterical. I was in the Reddit for a couple of years, and then I went out of it, and so I think it's it's even funnier today that I heard what did Justin say that Kirk is like now a godlike father figure to the women in Reddit, which I thought was great. But yeah, again, Portnoy overreacts. Kirk does something flippant. When everyone was guessing that he couldn't talk about it because he was trying to save it for the show, and Sneaks rightfully pointed out that he would, he shouldn't have done that. But okay, he has a boss to answer to. He had to hold off. I did think on Monday he might have said something about gambling during an ad read. Nothing bad, but just something that maybe, you know, Dave is super, when it comes to money, Portnoy is super sensitive. So I could see Kirk being in trouble for maybe, you know, saying all gamblers don't always win, you know, or during an ad read. That might have triggered him. But I didn't think it was going to be this. But it was nothing. It was turned out to be nothing. And Dave completely overreacted. So it was great.
Yeah,
I'd like to know what Kirk knows, because today Kirk said, now that I know more, a lot more.
much more.
So yeah.
Danny.
Yeah, I that's a good point, Ned. I thought, you know, one thing I gotta look. I did not think. I thought Mayo's appearance the other day was the worst he's ever had. He should just move to Rochester, Minnesota, and check into the Mayo Clinic permanently. But what I will say is he flat out, he guessed it though. He flat out said, and I re-listened to it today. He said, "Look, is it the chicken fry thing?" And then Kirk said no, and then he kept on him. So credit to Mayo for that. I mean, he called it out. I agree with Ned. I figured out it's got to be a DraftKings thing. It's got to be a sponsor thing. You know, that's definitely it. Like, how could Portnoy get that mad about, you know, him saying somebody's a fraud? I mean, that's a 0.2 out of 10 in the scale of things said on this show. So I just thought that was crazy. And the one thing that you're right, this has been belabored to death. The part that keeps sticking out to me though, that Kirk has brought up a couple times, and he said he'd go on the BFF show or whatever today. But the fact that, so chicken fry, yes, she goes running to Portnoy, call it a pussy move, whatever. I will say she has a relationship with Portnoy. She doesn't have a relationship with Kirk. So I don't totally kill her for that, especially because she told Dave, hey, I want to go on the show. For Portnoy to say no, the king of content, and to smash that down.
Yeah.
Like, all right. It's one thing if you're going to protect her and say, hey, Kirk, you know, don't say that about Brianna chicken fry, whatever, you know, you're a pussy, you're an idiot, you're a moron. Okay. But to actually actively say, no, you cannot have this conversation publicly. I mean, come on, talk about kid gloves and bubble wrap. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. I mean, let her go on the show. Like, let her call up. That's content for everybody, for Barstool. And then if Kirk comes back a week later and goes on BFFs, guess what? All of us mini fans that aren't going to watch that show ever, we're all going to tune in. So they're going to get numbers there. I mean, that was just a huge miss. And that tells me a lot about where Portnoy's head's at right now.
Yeah, it's Davey Mouse to the nth degree. He's gone soft. And when Kirk said he got fired for 5 minutes, my thoughts were it was either sponsor related or personnel related. And the DraftKings comment would have been sponsor related. If he had spoiled surviving, that's really sponsor related. But Portnoy's soft spot now is personnel. It's people that he feels like he wants to protect, and it's his company. Do what you want, but it is definitely softer Dave than we're used to.
And yes, John, I think I did say mini fans. I am AI. I'm AI Danny today.
Yeah. I do like Kirk's teasing it, saying I know much more now. So I think once that sort of fire got lit, people at the company started talking, and he learned more and more and more. So whatever he knows, where we might not find out, but it's good ammo for him to have going forward.
Yes.
Well, he kept making the point that, look, Portnoy wouldn't do this if he wasn't really in deep shit over some of this. So I respect that to some level. Like, the guy's the CEO, he's got to deal with this and that. He's dealing with personnel and contracts. He's stressed out, whatever. I understand that to an extent. But again, to block any additional content coming from this and keep this veil of secrecy over things, I don't know. Maybe that was in expectation of Grace, I guess, leaving or whatever. I don't know. I still don't know half of what that's all about, nor do I really care. But there are obviously other things brewing and at work. But gotta let her make the call. Let her if she gets eaten up by Kirk, then look, her job is content. She's a fucking TikTok YouTube star. Like, you can't go toe to toe.
Yeah, exactly.
If she gets eviscerated, great, even better. Now they have a feud, but it's not based in back channel conversations. It's out there.
Yeah, Portnoy released an 8-minute video on Twitter today describing the whole Grace O'Malley thing. I'm not going to bore you guys with any of it. We'll move on. Yeah. So this week, Kirk did give out a couple of awards. Most disappointing Minifan of the year went to Danny's former partner and comrade, Daver and Hull. So, Danny, when you heard that, were you surprised? Did you feel bad for Daver? Did your heart shrink? What was your
I was thrilled for Daver, because you know what? That means Daver is back. He's back in the world. He's top of consciousness. Kirk's still thinking about him. Kirk misses him. I miss Daver. We all miss Daver. He's around again. Which is, just an absolute thrill to see. Who knows? Maybe there's some projects brewing. I don't know. Who's to say? But, I just really, really happy to see Daver out there, because, look, if Kirk's talking about you, I mean, he's wished death upon me too. he hates Montante now. Great. He loves Montante. It means he loves him.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't get mentioned, it means you're irrelevant. And,
Exactly.
I'm sure it kind of warmed the cockles of Daver's heart, maybe in places he won't talk about at parties, but, I'm happy for him. We've interacted a little bit. He certainly did not seem overly hurt about it. So,
yeah. And I did see Daver up at Saco. He was in great spirits. He was a good hang. So I was happy to see.
See, Freddie, I was going to say, because that's why I met you up there as well. And you weren't in the group. I don't think that when I met Daver, I thought he was a bit of a sad guy. I thought he was kind of like, it's like, this is the guy. He's like, gets so hyper, and he seemed very subdued, I thought. It was earlier in the evening before the guy.
I've met him several times. He's always been nothing but a, great guy in person. So,
I just, and not that he was a bad guy. I just thought he was.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, if it was the latest Saco when he was kind of out of the world more recently?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he was just backing off a little bit, but no,
yeah,
I'm always and forever a Daver guy.
So we had most disappointing
Gloucester, by the way. That would have been my vote.
Sorry, go ahead.
Steve from Gloucester would have been my vote, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I think if it wasn't Mutt, I had Steve from Gloucester number 2. Because as Kirk described it, if you look at where they were a year ago, Steve was coming on the show, blah, blah, blah. And then he had an okay couple of months. We learned it was all bits and it's all fake and it's everything. And then he was gone for 9 months, comes back on the show, worse than ever. So that would have been my vote.
Andy's playing the burn barrel as well, right? So he's doing back and forth, calling in. Sad.
Yeah, I've given too many thoughts on Steve from Gloucester on this program.
I did like how Kirk didn't go chalk, though. I thought that was good that he didn't just go with Mutt, because that would have been Mutt already got executed last week. Let's give the guy a break.
Yeah, Kirk doesn't. Hey, when you think he's going to zig, he zags. And
which he might still be zigging and zagging leading up to next Monday.
And then along the same note, comeback Minute Fan of the Year, he went Coleman, which was a surprise to me. I thought there were a lot of good options. Ned, what were your reactions when you heard Coleman, and then when you heard that Coleman was texted right away to say congrats, and he said ? He didn't even know what it was about.
Right, because Coleman's in a group chat that I'm in, and he's in and out. He's not not bad at all. He does watch it, but I was very surprised that he was in, because as you know, Freddie, I did my top 50 list didn't include anybody in this past year. You had to sustain yourself in the world. So you guys were shocked that Coleman wasn't even on my list. So kind of surprised, because he was only around like how long? 6 months? 8 months?
Closer to 8 or 9 months. Yeah.
So not long, right? So it's like, but is he back? I don't know. I don't think he's back.
I think it's more of his Twitter presence. Classic example yesterday when he dunked on Fax, or maybe that was today. He just facialed Fax right in front of everybody, which was funny. Fax even knew it was funny. So
it was.
Well, and it was a callback to Fax shitting on him, in like November.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So kind of cool to see Coleman. He can hold a grudge. He's a nice guy, but he didn't forget that.
Yeah, he's got a good memory.
He was quick to snap back to that.
And breaking news, I tried to get Coleman on this program tonight, but he couldn't join us because he was working.
Oh,
Jack Coleman, ladies and gentlemen,
breaking
had a
news.
Work shift tonight, December 17th on a Tuesday evening.
Shit.
Exactly.
Wow.
Did he say which gentleman's club?
I think it's Chippendales, but I'm not sure exactly.
Tuesday nights are pretty slow.
Freddie, I don't think it's Chippendales.
He's on the whichever club. He's on the D list, obviously.
Wow.
Salt Life sluts.
Yeah. So we'll keep it rolling here. We'll roll through these last couple things. We do get next Monday the Minute Fan of the Year and the first team and second team all Minute Fan. Any sleepers you got for any of those lists, or any thoughts at all?
Danny, who'd you pick?
Well, as he keeps, so I heard you guys talk about this last week, and that you don't, when Kirk starts eliminating people, you don't necessarily believe him. I can see that, and that he reserves the right to change his mind and snap back at a second. But who keeps hanging on this list, and who he hasn't eliminated, and who once again came to people's defense the other day, and I know it may be an unpopular pick by some. I think there's a chance he goes the sneakers route. He may make Blind Mite sneakers the Minute Fan of the Year. I mean, that just the ultimate curveball.
And that's exactly who I nominated and who I still stand by. That's my Minute Fan of the Year.
Wow,
he loves the show. he loves Kirk. It's like he might be a troll, but he's a troll. He's like an archangel that you want on your side. You want Sneaks in that ditch, in that trench with you when the enemy is coming over that wall. You know, I don't know who else I'd want there, but that guy he's the best.
Yeah, look, he's loyal. So is my buddy Robbie V. I mean, there's a couple people out there like that, but
Robbie's a good choice too. But Sneaks, I pick Sneaks, and the look. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. If people crap on me or whatever I do, this is fun for me, so I don't really give a fuck. But the amount of vitriol I got when I put up that I forgot who did it, but someone did the Ned Snark endorses Blind Mike sneakers. That shit I got from out of like left field. I'm like, whoa. It's like I felt like I was in a bar and someone did a reach around, smack in the face. Like, oh, I didn't expect that from that quarter. But so which means you touched a nerve. So yes.
I mean, I think he's the behind the scenes executive producer of the show, honestly. So I don't know if that disqualifies him, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. Now that we said it, maybe we just disqualified him. Which I think Sneak said he'd burn the award if he received it. So who knows?
All right. Terrible, embarrassing confession. So the first show at the State Street Theater in Portland was 2 years ago. I was at Gritty's, love Gritty's, been there a billion times, and I didn't recognize him. Guy walks up to me, like half my height, and says, "Yeah, Ned, I'm Sneakers." And I like shook his hand and said, "I got to get the fuck out of here."
No, that's the same night I met you.
And
no, he was buying people drinks. Yeah, no,
I was so looking back, big mistake.
Well, I think no matter what, whoever Kirk does pick for Man of the Year, it's going to be someone that half the people hate, because that's just what Kirk does. He wants to make sure that half the people hate it, because that's what keeps people, engaged and interested and involved, and keeps things interesting.
Freddie, do you think are you on the list, and especially with the recent atomic rise of Fireside Chats? I mean, do you think you're in the conversation?
For what?
For Man of the Year?
No, not a chance.
Not yet. Sustainability.
I'm not. No.
Freddie, make this work, because this is a good show, and Mike and the Minifans is having its problems, as we all know. But this could be the Fireside Chat. This could be it. This could be the next generation. You could be the Johnny Carson to the Jack Parr of Mike and the Minifans.
Well, listen, I got two old school OG Minifans here on now. We're bridging the gap from you guys to the generation facts of the world. We want well-informed Minifans to have positive conversation. And so moving on. Now I'm not on any list. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't really off all lists. I think Ned has access to the do not fly list, so he may check that.
I do have access to that.
Let's see. A couple more quick things. Just we'll wrap it up here soon. This probably flew under the radar. Nobody realized it, but Dave Cullinane pretended to not know Andy Cohen's wrap-up show was called Watch What Happens Live. Dave Cullinane's a Bravo guy. He fucking knew the answer to that. He was just playing dumb. You don't have to respond to that. We'll just keep it going.
That's very astute.
Justin, listen, I'm not going to do what Mama K did last week and go all Freud and try to diagnose Justin's mental whatever. But his thing with BoJack Horseman, like, I don't watch the final season because I don't like when things end. Because when he watched it originally, he said he bawled his eyes out. He's got some demons. Something's going on there.
Well, I don't even necessarily want to go that deep as to say a demon, but I found that to be very strange. Like, he'll rewatch a series but won't watch the final season of a show that he loves. Like, I mean, I've rewatched The Sopranos, 4 or 5 times and watched to the end, even though, love it or hate it, that last episode, one of the most controversial on television. How do you not watch the whole series? That concept seems strange to me, and I'm not going to read in any other predilections, mental issues, anything illegal.
And every time he does that, Blind Mike is shaking in the corner. If only you could get a therapist. If you could only talk to a therapist about this. Because God damn it, is Blind Mike right about that? Like, he's got this therapist and he just talks about if Tyquan Thornton's going to catch 3 balls this week.
Right. Reminisces about the days of Sony Michelle.
And if you invest $2.99 in Arm & Hammer baking soda to wash his face, his acne would clear up. All he needs is a mild version.
Second week in a row on this historic episode, we've had a Justin facial cleanse recommendation.
Well,
Thank you,
$2.
I hooked him up with a physician assistant dermatologist who's willing to see him for free, and he has not followed up. So, I mean, I've got somebody in Boston who's ready to see him, who's a professional who can help him significantly. So the offer still stands, Justin.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Correct.
Speaking of the producers, again, this is just stupid. Something I think of the old Jerry Callahan drop. Shut up and let's hear from Kane. Why the hell have they not been playing that for the last 3-4 months?
Good.
Well, they don't play any drops except for AI.
Come on,
award show stuff.
Get your shit together. Bobby's song closing out the episodes from now going forward. What do you guys think about that new song? And do you like it to close out the episodes?
I'll go first. I was sick to death of the last one, so this is a pleasant change. But I think after about another couple of weeks, it rotates. I'd rather go back to Teague being shot. That was my favorite. But it was it's a funny song. It's a good song. Good effort.
I agree, Ned. It's a good song. I'm glad they let it play.
Yeah.
Because it starts slow. Obviously, Let It Be's just, been parodied a billion times, including within this world, I believe. So I thought there was a really good chance. I was just waiting for Kurt to have that, hair trigger that he's had recently with any kind of a song or call. The fact that he let it play and it was very funny. It just brought back a little sense of old nostalgia. And then, and he was, he couldn't have been more excited, when Blind Mike suggested, hey, let's swap that out at the end. Kirk was all about it. So no, I agree. And I think it's a little homage to Mutt too. The time while he's on the bench, we at least have that shout out to Mutt at the end of every episode.
Unless that Japanese lady croaks, right? So,
Tamiko Atuka, 116 years old.
Freddie,
and a widow for
Freddie had that at his fingertips.
Yeah, well, I saw someone in the group or someone in our world reposted something. She got an award today.
That's funny.
For what, she graduated high school?
No, but I think she was officially named. I think it was Guinness.
Oh, okay.
So
she got
officially
her
the oldest woman in the world. She's there.
So now she can die in peace.
Correct. But do we find it interesting though that Kirk's not going to go with Mel Brooks, Gene Hackman, or Clint Eastwood?
Did he say Clint? I listened back. I don't think he actually said Clint. Did he say Clint?
He did.
Did he? Okay, maybe it was a different.
He said first because they were talking about Mel Brooks about something, and he goes, he could. I think Justin actually said it. Like, hey, could he be one of your Tuesday guys? And he goes, no, and not Clint and not Gene Hackman either. And they're both 94.
I think that's Clint's up to 98. I thought, isn't he?
No, Clint's 94. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was very self-aware on Kirk's part, knowing that if he had to cope with the death of one of his favorite stars and also see Mutt's face come back in studio at the same time, it just would probably be too much for him to take. So, I thought that was very, self-aware and mature on his part to do that. I'm going to pick that.
He would be setting himself up for the ultimate lose-lose.
Yeah, it would be pretty rough. It would be pretty rough because I think Mutt, as much as he's a great guy, I don't know how much he's how well he do consoling Kirk upon the death of one of his favorites. I think next week should be that Luigi shooter guy because that guy's going to get shanked in prison in about 3 seconds.
Well, we got what do you have? Jimmy Carter, Dick Van Dyke.
He'll Epstein himself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Redford. That's right. He said no Redford.
Oh, but he's got 50 more weeks to go.
Though. Redford's only in his 80s.
Yeah, he'll go a long time.
So Kirk does have 50 more weeks to make a pick, so he's got a lot of time to pick a lot of those guys. I think Dick Van Dyke is probably not a bad pick.
Yeah,
I think he. Anyway, moving on. Any thoughts on Fun Spot, the Fun Spot call, the arcade thing up in New Hampshire, Laconia, or no?
I thought it sounded great. I'm not going to be able to go to the show because I have a industry event that weekend. But that sounds fantastic. 3 stories.
Yeah, Steve, your Live to Tapes brewery is like 2 miles up the road.
Well, he made a nice video there today. I saw he did a little tour. I mean, it looks like I'm not a huge video game guy, but it looks like it's certainly a nostalgia.
Clemmer gave it 5 stars, man.
Yeah, look, Clemmer doesn't fuck around with that stuff. I was picturing, as Clemmer called in, I was picturing the excitement on his face as he was listening to that episode when Play It Again guy, brought that up. I could just see Clemmer like shaking with excitement about how much he loves that place.
Yeah, last shitting on the producers, but Play It Again guy brought like 50 topics and the producers brought like 5. But just side note. So that's going to be anything I didn't bring up that you guys wanted to talk about tonight. We are about to wrap up. So if you have thoughts that you wanted to share, now's your time.
I think I like the Play It Again guy. I liked him the first time. I liked him this time. I don't get where they said he was being cranky or negative, except think about his wife. That was kind of strange, but I thought the guy was great. And he brought Kirk, golf club? Golf club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was groundbreaking or anything, but I thought he did fine as a third chair.
But
if you're going to talk negative, that Freddy's Birdie guy was much more negative. In some ways, I thought it was funny, but almost like to the point where he kind of brought the show down at times. And then I know people shout on Max's brother a lot, but I mean, he did have some funny one-liners. I thought it was very mean, but also pretty funny about the Mike Diabetes line and some other things that he brought up, and just his hatred for Max. Frankly, I expected them to play that up a little bit more. I mean, I'm glad they called Max and got him involved, but I think that sank to like topic number 50 in the last week, and that actually could have been potential for more content there.
And if he comes back, I do think he needs to be next to a bigger voice. He was next to Mayo, I believe. So I think he needs to be next to.
That's true.
Like a Montante or.
You can't truly grade somebody when they're sitting next to Mayo.
Correct.
Unless you're a BLT.
Excellent. Thank you, Freddie.
Well, that's going to be it. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is another historic episode of Fireside Chats. We will see what's going to happen next week. We have a KMS episode on Monday, so stay tuned, and we'll be in touch. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ned. Freddie. Good night.
Thanks, Danny.